All right, guys, welcome to your STAAR review folder, over 6.13, 613. And again, as you can see on your folder, we have a couple of examples that we have given to you. So if you haven't read through those, you might kind of want to look through and see what's happening in those before you just answer these 5 questions that are given. So if we look through that, we have a couple different things that are going on in that situation. And a lot of those questions are literally just based on your vocabulary. So we wanted to review a few things before I do this one example with you, since this is kind of the newest vocab. So let's review a few things. First of all, mode, and I'll use a different color paper to cover that up so you're not distracted by those words. Mode is the number that occurs the most often, where you see that it occurs or it happens the most often. So mode is the most. Again, in your set of data, there can be more than one mode if it's a tie. If your numbers were 1, 1, 3, 3, and 5, your mode for that example would be 1 and 3 because there's 2 1s and 2 3s. But if their numbers were just 1, 3, and 5, there would be no mode. So mode's a little bit different to where there could be one answer, just one number. There could be a tie between 2 numbers, 3 numbers, or even more if they have the same exact numbers, or there could be no mode. But remember, don't put 0 if none of the numbers repeat, because then you're thinking about the number 0 repeating. So make sure we remember that. Median, we've talked about a lot. Remember, median is that middle number, but it's only in the middle if your numbers are from, hopefully you said least to greatest, ascending order, increasing. So when you guys are going to be answering some of these questions based on this TEAC 6.13, a lot of that is just understanding those vocabulary words. So let's keep going. If there are 2 middle numbers, when you cross them out, the lowest, the lowest and highest, and back and forth, remember you're going to find the average of those 2 numbers. Add both numbers up and divide by 2, because when you find the mean or the average, all that means is that you add up all the numbers and you divide by how many numbers you added. Think about your grades, for example. If we have 14 grades in the grade book, we're going to add all those 14 grades up and divide by 14. And the only way that would be different to find your mean or your average for that is if those assignments had a different value, like 10% for your homework versus 60% of your quiz and test grades. So really and truly, when I find your test grade average, I add up all your test grades, maybe 2 or 3, and divide by however many tests there are. Okay, so let's keep going. Remember, this is where I see a lot of you guys falling for a trick. You guys are used to working with whole numbers. Remember, you're smart mathematicians. You can work with decimals and fractions and mixed numbers. So if you find that you're finding the average and you divide by however many numbers you added, don't be scared, don't be hesitant if you have a remainder. Remember, with that remainder, we're either going to make it a mixed number, make it a fraction, make it a decimal. So that is okay to have that in your answer. Now, the newest word that we really want to give you an example on today is variability. And what variability means is how much your data, or your numbers, your data points, differ from each other. These are things that are not constant. Constant means something that doesn't change. Therefore, variability means that it is changing. And I wanted to look at an example with you for that. So let's look at our question here provided. You can have a couple questions like that possibly you'll see. So let's look. Which situation does not yield with variability? So if it's not variable, that's another way of saying we want something that is constant. It's not changing. So something that is constant and not changing. And if you guys had your notes that we did a couple of examples over here. For example, there were 30 days in June. So that's no variability. It's a non-example because of the fact that that is a constant. That is always 30 days in June. And hopefully you guys had the discussion with your teachers in your math class that really the only month that has variability it's February because of leap year. Sometimes February has 28 days, sometimes it has 29 days, but all the other months are either going to have exactly 30 or exactly 31, depending on the month that you're looking at. So let's look. The number of cars that go through the intersection of Green Street and 15th Street during different times of the day. And that's some key phrase right there. Now stop and think about it. Are the same exact cars going to go through that stoplight at different times of the day? Hopefully you said no, because think about it. In the morning, when y'all are coming to school, when your parents are going to work, when they're coming to pick you up from school, there's more traffic in the morning and in the afternoon rather than maybe midday. So that is going to vary. That's going to change. And we're looking for something that does not yield. That means does not provide variability. So letter F is an example of variability. It's going to change. And even on a Monday, it may be a little bit busier at 7 o'clock. And that next Tuesday at the same time, 7 o'clock, it may not be as busy. It just depends on when people leave the house. So this is an example of variability because that is going to change. And again, the question wants something that is not going to be changing. It's not yielding variability, and it's constant. So letter G, the type of dog owned by students at Lakota High School. Well, stop and think about it. Here at Vail, does every single person have the same exact dog? Nope. There may be some of us that have the same type of dog. A couple of us might have pugs. A couple of us have pit bulls. But we do not all have the same exact dog. Not even everybody owns a dog. So letter G is not constant. This is an example of variability. It changes. I know my dog is different than the kind of dog that Miss Tovar has. We don't have the same kind. So let's keep going. H, the number of students at Lakota High School. Well, some of you guys think that this could be an example of variability because on one day there's a certain amount of students, and then the next day we might get a couple new students enrolled. So that may or may be not, and I'm kind of thinking might be, but let me put a question mark. Let's see if I can look at letter J. I knew I could roll out those other two. The average number of hours that students at Lakota High School spend on the internet each day during the week. Okay, average, remember that means your mean, and they're spending time on the internet each day during the week. Well, stop and think about that for just a little bit. Does every student have access to a computer? Not everybody. Some only have computer access when they're here at school. So can everybody spend the same amount of time on the computer every day? Can everybody spend 1 hour? Not if they don't have a computer at home. So is that constant? Is that going to be the same amount for every person every day? Or is it changing? Hopefully you said that it's changing. So that means it's an example of variability. Now, when I first read these questions and this question, I should say, and these answer choices, I did a little question mark on letter H, just like I did here, because I thought to myself, well, that could change maybe based on the day. But if we were to take these results as of right now, what's going on, letter H is the best answer because if we take a screenshot of it just today, the number of students at Lakota, or even if you want to just say Vail, that's going to be your enrollment for just that day. So letter H is our best option for this example. Okay, hopefully that was a little bit helpful for you guys. Do the best you can on those videos. Remember to ask your shoulder partner for help if you need help, or flip your card over to red to signify that you need your teacher to come help you as well. Good luck and get ready for that STAAR.